Good morning, it's me, Pearl, and this is Tuned In Tarot. And we're here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine energies inside of ourselves, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. And if we want to see changes, we have to make changes within ourselves in order that those are reflected back to us. So it is Friday. We're going to do the release and rebuild spread today. We're going to release the things that don't serve us, and then we're going to rebuild from that point. If you didn't have an opportunity to watch, on Wednesday, we looked at the obstacles that were blocking both sides of self. On Fridays, we look at how the feminine energy helps both sides of self to release, and the masculine energy helps both sides of self to rebuild, because it's energy, not gender. So this is all going on inside of you, and you'll probably see things that remind you of the person you're focused on because they're reflecting back your energy. That's how this works. My coffee is too sweet. God damn it. Unpleasant. Okay, let's get started. Divine Feminine. The top of the deck is the general energy surrounding what needs to be released right now. So the general energy that we're seeing Divine Feminine in the headspace is actually in the process of releasing this Queen of Swords in reverse energy. And in the heart space, we have the Six of Wands. So we see her preparing to release any defensiveness towards actually being able to receive the spoils of war. Like has experienced some kind of a victory. There's a liberation that's happened or occurred, and she's feeling a triumph. And she's doing really her best not to overthink it and to release any type of an energy that would block her from having this. So her defenses are down. Others in your life, but I really feel like this is more about you protecting. What is happening? Okay, when your own voice starts to come out of your phone, I have no idea why that just happened. I think that was the obstacles removed spread. It must have been in my YouTube, but I don't know why it just started playing. Okay. So, Divine Feminine, being very defensive, putting up her defenses, putting up boundaries, and kind of learning the difference between protecting herself from her success versus establishing a boundary that helps support her success. So she's really kind of in the process of learning the difference during this process of releasing. So that's her general energy right now. She does feel a certain amount of victory here, and she's trying not to overthink it and protect herself from experiencing it in its fullness. The hidden assistance that will help her with this process of releasing is the Knight of Swords in reverse in the headspace and the High Priestess in reverse in the heart space. So the thing that's been bothering Divine Feminine is the slow-moving energy from Divine Masculine. But Divine Masculine not coming in too swiftly and being reckless is actually something that has helped her a lot. The other thing that has helped her is to release some of the holier-than-thou feelings that she had started to have in the process of working on balancing herself. The amount of time it's taken for Divine Masculine to be able to come in, reveal the truth, and be direct, communicate directly with her has allowed her to forced her to develop her intuition. Because since she didn't have any sort of communication from the masculine, she had to rely on trusting her intuition. So this has actually been something that has helped her. So something that she has resisted has helped her. Also, that the two in the major arcana, the High Priestess, represents that twin flame balancing between the two sides of self. So being on that journey to go within and find union in herself has been something that will now help her with this release. So let's look at what needs to be released. So what experience does Divine Feminine need to release? I just don't understand. The Six of Wands in the head space, which we already got in the heart space. So there's the union. And the King of Swords in reverse. So, Divine Feminine, you are victorious, right? But your victory didn't include communication from this masculine energy. And you are chafing at that a bit. You're like, I want to be celebrating with this energy. And instead, this energy is being completely icy, cold, and aloof and strategizing. And I don't know what's going on. So I'm like sitting out here like, yay, we did it. And I'm still alone and there's still no communication. And so I really need to release this need for the divine masculine energy to acknowledge my victory, right? Look at this. The general energy surrounding divine feminine's release is the Queen of Swords in reverse and the Six of Wands. And the general energy and what she needs to release is the King of Swords in reverse and the Six of Wands. This is all about boundaries, defenses being up, right? And it's showing you how much of a reflection of one another that they are. This energy comes from this. Divine Feminine in both of these images is on her own, celebrating in this victory without the masculine energy. And what's so interesting is that typically these cards show a bunch of people sharing the victory. It can be about public acknowledgement, but in this case, there's no one here to observe this match, right? This King and Queen of Swords, they're both in reverse because they are both defending themselves and their personal victories, and in so doing are preventing themselves from coming into union. Wow. Okay, let's look at the next position, which is, what can I do right now to soothe myself? Okay. The Nine of Swords upright and the Empress in reverse. So Divine Feminine, acknowledging that you're being controlling and demanding comes from anxiety. The anxiety isn't real, though. These are illusions that we make up, right? These are ways that we protect ourselves from receiving what we truly desire. Your anxiety is coming from not wanting to wait anymore for something to happen. So you have a choice. You can either stop waiting for this energy, or you can face your fears about the wait being over and embrace that this is now imminent. The baby is being born. You also have to face the labor pains, right? You have to face the birthing process. What will soothe you is just to go through those fears and anxieties and give birth to the creation that you long to create, right? And to acknowledge that you are an empress. And an empress doesn't have to be afraid because she's not going to lose anything. She has her own empire always. What can I expect to encounter as I make space for new energy? We have the Two of Cups in reverse, and we have the Three of Wands. So, as we make this space for the new energy, as we release our frustrations, our thought process, our fixation on the divine masculines not sharing this victory with us, not sharing his liberation with us, but just kind of leaving us here on our own. As we release this focus, we release the storyline of the couple not being in union. So we release this feeling of waiting constantly for physical union. We make space for this to actually happen. No longer being something where we're just, it's just like a fairy dream that we just have. Like just this, oh, it's going to happen. But it actually is something that can ground. There's also a release of any past energy that has been a problem in making the union solid. But I think this is really about all of our past associations with how we thought things should happen, what we thought they should look like, right? The next position I see is what behaviors have gotten in my way. We have the Three of Cups in the headspace and the Seven of Pentacles in the heart space. So being impatient about the removal of third-party energy in the union has really gotten in your way. And also maybe not taking the time that you really needed to cultivate and care for yourself as seriously as it really is. Remember, your hidden assistance is that the Knight of Swords did not move too fast so that you could learn to balance and trust yourself. It was actually a pretty serious reason to not move into union. If you had moved into union before you had that kind of a mastery, you would have ended up in separation again with even more memories to overcome. You also personally may have engaged in third-party energy when you've gotten impatient. Now, I am not a feminine who has had physical third-party energy, but I definitely have had conversations. I've contemplated going on dates. And all because that was my journey. Nothing that I should carry shame about. I didn't do anything bad. But I did have periods of doubt where I felt like this was never going to happen. And those were the times that I would turn to third-party energy. I would be like, oh, maybe this person. Oh, maybe that person, or this person in my DMs or whatever, even though I knew that it wasn't the right type of an energy. It was just making me feel better to have some attention, right? Getting that attention from anywhere because I was so impatient with waiting for the masculine to get rid of his third party. Okay? So that's really been a behavior that has gotten in our way, is being fixated on third-party energy that divine masculine has, and then calling in our own because we're too impatient to actually do the work it needs to tend to ourselves, the garden of ourselves, and heal and grow so that we can harvest this union that we're seeking. Okay. What can I do now to avoid this? There's our High Priestess upright coming out with the Page of Swords in reverse. What can I do to stop allowing this fear and anxiety about third-party energy and the impatience I'm having with it? What can I do to prevent this? Well, I can stop spying. This is the internet spying card, the curiosity card, looking at social media. It's, if you're blocked, like looking at all the people around the person, asking friends to look for you, constantly seeking out whether or not there's some other bitch in the mix, really worried about that kind of stuff. So if you want to get rid of this tendency you have to manifest your doubt by seeking out evidence of third-party energy, stop seeking out that energy and trust in the balance of the union. This is the Magician card, actually. I said High Priestess, but it's the Magician card. It reminded me of this High Priestess card because of the colors here. But the Magician card is a feminine energy in this, and akin to the high priestess for sure, which is probably why I associated her with that. This is co-creating. This is trusting in the divine, that you've asked for something and that you're being given the tools you need to create this. And this is not needing to look and see what's going on in order to trust that what you are manifesting is coming to be. And what is growing within me or within this connection as I move on? Wow. We're getting the Wheel of Fortune, the Death card in reverse, and the Hanged Man. The end of the Waite, right? This is a change. This is the winds of change are blowing, okay? This is no more walking away from our transformation, no more being suspended, no more resisting. This is the end of separation, the end of this Hanged Man energy, a change in the ability for the masculine energy to actually take action, no longer be suspended, to have allowed something to die, and finally accept this good fortune that is here, fate and destiny. You're allowing for fate and destiny to happen. Okay, let's look at Divine Masculine, who is rebuilding. The masculine energy right now, I'm very excited to see. The general energy surrounding what Divine Masculine is rebuilding is this King of Wands, upright, hooray, and the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, also hooray. This is matching here with feminine and happens to be in the back of the mind as well. So let's go into this first, this general energy here, which is an impatient Divine Masculine who's on fire, magnetic, attractive, powerful, visionary, does not hold back, communicates, strong communicator, very strong communicator, if not somewhat emotional in communication, but able to control it for the most part because we're seeing him in his light. So Divine Masculine wants to rebuild the wealth that I feel that he probably had to release to a certain extent, and he's had to plant the seeds for it and wait for it to grow. And he's at a time now where he's about to start harvesting that abundance that was planted. But this took a lot of time, and that's why there's impatience here. And that impatience, of course, is what made Divine Feminine worry about third-party energy, which held her back, etc. So this general energy is what Divine Masculine is really interested. He wants to rebuild his ability to take action and harvest the fruits of his labors. And his hidden assistance is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, which we see 3 times. And this is the actual impatience he has about this is his hidden assistance. The fact that he feels impatient is lighting a fire under his ass so he can get into that King of Wands, and the fact that he has released a Mother of Pentacles energy. So he either has an ex-wife, an ex-partner, a maternal energy, like a mother energy, a grandmother energy, and it's probably all of those things, because usually there is the toxicity comes from straight down through the line, the generational line. But he's done something to tend to or care for these wounds that he received from a feminine energy that was distorted, a distorted feminine energy, overprotective, overbearing, controlling, demanding. And it's possible that he had to give a lot of wealth to this person to appease them, but this is actually what's helped him out. Parting with the material and this energy is the hidden assistance that is now going to allow him to harvest the fruits of the seeds he planted, which weren't necessarily material. He may have had to part with his material wealth in order to harvest his spiritual wealth. And let's look now at what past experience challenges him in the rebuilding process. There she is, the Queen of Pentacles and the Sun in reverse. So this is multi-layered. There is the Divine Feminine, who he has withheld an offer from, an offer of happiness. And so this past experience of not giving her and sharing this happiness with her while he was illuminating it, showing her, enlightening her, but withholding it, this past experience is difficult now in taking this action. The other meaning is that same feminine energy that has been released. There is a certain awareness on the divine masculine. This is a loving mother energy too. So even though there's a distortion here, there's still a loving mother caring kind of an energy from that past energy. And she will be very unhappy about divine masculine's happiness. When he brings illumination to what is really his true happiness, this will also be very disappointing to this potential feminine energy, who is somebody that divine masculine still cares about. So he has feelings that is really challenging him in this process of allowing himself to actually bring happiness to his divine feminine, who he wants to be with in the material. What can I do right now to build my confidence? We have in the head space, the Four of Swords in reverse, and in the heart space, we have the Eight of Cups that has not left us for days. What divine masculine can do to build his confidence is to tell divine feminine that he's walked away from this past energy, to express to the divine feminine, because this is a card about being silent and not talking and just, praying and healing and going within, etc. But this is a situation where the divine masculine energy does need to express that he has walked away from a former happiness towards his higher calling, which is the divine feminine. She needs to know that. When he tells her that, this will build his confidence, because once she truly knows that, she's going to feel the possibility of happiness is much more realistic now than it was before, when he was bound to this other energy in some way. So he needs to tell her, hey, I walked away from my old life and I'm free. She's a psychic. She already knows it. But if he tells her, she will feel more confident. He will feel more confident. What possible future challenges could arise? All right. You were pulling out lots of double cards. You got double cards for this position. So here's the possible future challenges that could arrive. We have the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and the Two of Cups in reverse. Divine masculine, you could still be withholding your worthiness. You still don't feel like you have a big enough offer, right? Your stability, your reliability, and you are still doubting your potential to really be able to show up for this physical union. You still have anxiety about looking good, your appearance, like how you look to the feminine that you're approaching, how you look to others. You feel like you don't have a whole lot to offer, but that's only because you're thinking in your mind that divine feminine needs the world, right? And divine feminine is like, I want a conversation. And you're like, yeah, but after the conversation, you're going to want like a really nice ring, and you're going to want like a big expensive wedding, and you're going to want, because these are the things that divine masculine identifies as the trappings of success. And so his feeling is that this divine feminine will want, she deserves that. She deserves what he feels is this material success, and that she actually does want it. And she would really be disappointed if he comes in with this small offer and she's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? This is his fear. This could challenge him. It could keep him from coming towards her. He has to embrace that the divine feminine has her own material abundance, her own ability to generate a lot of abundance, that your partnership increases your potential for abundance, which means when you show up with a small gesture, what you're showing up with is a solid, reliable, stable offer that will grow and grow and grow. So divine masculine has to face those fears about still not quite being as good as he would like to be. And this is both as a man and as a provider. What past behaviors have destabilized me? The Strength card in reverse, the Ace of Swords upright, and the Daughter of Swords in reverse. This is the Page of Swords energy again, which divine feminine got in the same position of what behaviors haven't served her or have gotten in her way. I lied. It was a different position. What would help her not be in this position is not spying. Divine masculine is getting what has destabilized you. First of all, what has destabilized you is believing that your feminine is the only one who can control this beast within you, who can handle you, which is really more about you not believing you can handle yourself. This is also about your ego having a lot more control over the kind of truth that you would bring in, your ability to speak directly, your ability to communicate, your fears about how you will appear to this feminine, and what will be seen and observed by others. And this Page of Swords in reverse is about engaging in behaviors where you are constantly spying to see the truth, but your ego gets in the way from you being able to really see what's actually happening. There also could be a desire to protect information from children, daughter, son energy, not to try to hide your ego's desire to hide from like judgment from another party, from I think children from another marriage, something like that. So there's all of this that has destabilized you. All right. What can I do now to avoid this and stabilize? We have the Hermit in reverse. We've got the Five of Wands upright and the Mother of Cups. So to avoid the situation where your ego is afraid, is not brave enough to speak the truth, you have to come out of your isolation because you've been in isolation. You've got to come out of this hermit mode. Stop struggling within yourself because that's all that this is. This is an internal struggle that seems to always be something you're worried about happening externally, but actually never does happen externally. It just happens within you. And it's from you being on your own and in your head all the time. You're struggling with yourself. You need to actually break through this obstacle of isolating yourself and integrating your own healed maternal energy within. And this is bringing the divine feminine into your life. The divine feminine is this healing energy. She is the healed version of the feminine that you've healed inside of yourself. She represents the mothering energy that you longed for. And you have learned how to give yourself this energy. And it's time now to stop fighting against it and to allow this energy to come in. It's the divine feminine herself that will help stabilize you. What future prospects do I have to look forward to once I rebuild and stabilize? The Four of Cups in reverse and Judgment in reverse. So grounding the union, moving from fantasy into reality, into nature, onto the earth. Taking the cup that has been offered to you, that you were busy focused on third-party energy and you couldn't actually accept it. You can now actually take this cup and facing this judgment. This is a release from this could have been a legal judgment that has been passed, like a release from that hold over you. This could also be for the feminine or for the masculine energy, the intimidation of approaching and reconciling with divine feminine. But the asking for forgiveness and the needing and receiving of atonement comes with this card. So you will be grounding the connection and all of the harsh criticism and judgment that you have had against yourself for staying in this fantasy and in this space of fantasy instead of coming into material. That will be released, and this peace that you've been longing for will finally be able to exist in the material and not just in the spiritual realm. Beautiful. Wow, it only took me 30 minutes to read both of you. That's impressive. All right, let's go back to the oracles now. And we're going to look at what divine feminine needs to release in order to come into sexual union and what will help her rebuild. So, divine feminine, you need to release the 7 of Wands energy. So, you have been very defensive about sexual union. You've been blocking yourself from experiencing this, and you've been fighting off interested parties and protecting yourself from the experience. So now that you are in a place where you have the ability to come into union year with a masculine energy that's prepared to take action, now is the time to release your defenses. And what will help you is the 6 of Swords energy, which is definitely resonating with a Catholic schoolgirl, because that is definitely where my sexual fantasy started, in church on Sunday for sure. Find me a Catholic. Good morning. Find me a Catholic who doesn't sit in church and have sex fantasies. Find me one. It's just the place where it happens. All that energy in that building. So what will help you release this resistance, your defenses to coming into sexual union, is really embracing the 6 of Swords experience, which is you've had traumas, you've had probably pretty seriously painful experiences, and it's time now to move to the next place. You don't know what healed, healthy sexual union looks like because you've never experienced it, but you know that you can experience it. And you just have to embrace the lessons that you learned in these last experiences and know that you're kind of new again. Like you're almost like that schoolgirl because you're starting fresh now on a new shore. You are getting the shadow archetype of the magical child. So there is some pessimism, depression, and disbelief in miracles, and a believing that energy and action are not required for growth. I'm pulled to that second part. First of all, you might have some pessimism and difficulty believing in miracles. I mean, that's a general thing that we're always kind of struggling with, I think, collectively. But the thing that I think is so much more important here is this idea that you might be believing that you don't need to to channel energy and take action for your own growth, that you might be sitting back as a feminine and thinking, oh, the divine masculine has to clean up his mess and he needs to get rid of this third-party energy and he needs to blah, 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 right? And you're not acknowledging that when you come here to these readings, I am not reading about Joe, Frank, Ted, Josh, Philip, Teresa, Susan, any fucking name. I'm not reading about any of those people. I don't know them. They didn't ask me to do a reading for them. So if I was reading their energy, that would be pretty invasive, okay? I don't do violation when I go to read people. I read the person who is here with me. So if you are here with me and I read you all that about the divine masculine and you're like, he does need to express that he has walked away. He does need to do this. He does need to do that. Go get a mirror and ask yourself, how in my life do I fail to act? How do I worry about what people think about what I desire? How do I suppress my emotions and favor my headspace, even though my heart is pulling me in another direction? That is the only way that you will ever come into union if you approach these readings as lessons. Learn them and learn that you must channel this energy and take action. You must figure out how you have to do the things that you think divine masculine has to do in your own life. Once you start doing that, you will see that energy reflected back to you. That's how this works. So the light of this is seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things and the belief that everything is possible. So you're really, really being called to believe in the impossible. And just to highlight that, here is Saint Hildegard von Bingen, who is the saint that is called in today to help you believe, because this is something that is almost impossible to do alone. So she's here to support you in believing in the impossible. And she was a woman who did impossible things. So if anyone can help you, Saint Hildegard can. Divine Feminine, I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. This is what was coming up for you, what was needing to be released. This gets in your way, that when you're impatient and waiting, that you start to fear third-party energy. And you just have to recognize that that's what you've done and that you're not going to do that. From now on, going forward, you're going to choose again and you're going to choose love. And there it is, right there. And it feels like it's so out of reach for you because you're having trouble acknowledging that you already have it. You think love means that a physical person shows up, asks me to marry them, we have children, or we have our life together. If we don't want children, it's we create things together, we live in a space together, and then one day we die together. Okay, that's not what love is. That's what happens when there is love and all of the outside circumstances align and allow you to experience that physically. But that is not what love is. Love is not the physical experience of your partner. If that were true, you would stop loving people as soon as they died because you couldn't physically experience them anymore. They're like, that person's dead, I don't love them anymore. And that's not what happens. You love them until you die. It's still painful for you to think about their loss right up until the moment that you draw your last breath. You'll probably get a little teary when you think about all the time you missed with that person. Maybe you'll feel hopeful that you'll get to see them again because you still love them. Love does not need physical expression to exist. And divine feminine must get into this headspace. Hi, I don't answer live questions during these sessions. A lot of times your questions get answered, though, because you are called here to hear what I'm saying. So you might get your questions answered. You can go to pearlsprayers.com if you need a personal reading. And sometimes I'll do free readings on TikTok, which is Pearl's Prayers there as well. And on this Saturday, I will be doing a live reading with Grace Draga on Instagram, and we usually check in for about 20-30 minutes, and then after the check-in we open it up and you can ask questions live. So that would be tomorrow, actually 12 noon Pacific Coast time, if you're interested. But thank you for asking. All right, so divine feminine love, she's got to feel this love is here now without physical expression. One of the ways we can do that is meditate and contemplate. So there's a call here for us to connect with the divine and to be in a contemplative state where we maybe think about love. There is a practice in Catholicism where you focus on the concept of agape, which is the type of love that God expresses towards mankind. And it's a devotional thing that Catholics will do, and you can use prayers to put yourself into this state. Like St. Thomas Merton used to use the Our Father prayer, which you would say very slowly and deliberately and mindfully. So there's just different things you can do to kind of put yourself into a state where you're focused on love and the feeling of it. Wasp spirit is here to say sometimes life stings. And then we're also getting this Knight of Swords energy, which was your hidden assistance today in its reversal. The Knight of Swords brings truth. So there isn't definitely a feeling here that I'm getting that sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes facing that what was really disappointing us was not whether or not the masculine was showing up. What was disappointing us is that we didn't have love for ourselves enough that whether or not he was there was so important to us. And that physical manifestation isn't responsible for your happiness can also be something that is kind of painful to acknowledge. Because you keep thinking, if this person changed the way they acted, made apologies, acted differently, whatever it is, then I will feel happiness. Then I will feel love. But the truth is that you must feel love, forgiveness, peace in order to have that. That's just the truth. Let's look at the stories from these cards just to get a little more insight. We'll look at Wasp Spirit's message, which is the Oracle message, coming from Colette Baron Reed's Spirit Animal Oracle deck. And it says, not all that Spirit creates in nature is easy to love, but when we look through the eyes of Wasp Spirit, we recognize that even though sometimes life stings, there is a purpose for pain, just as there is a purpose for wasps in the natural world. Wasps keep insect populations down, supporting the growth of plants. So too, the sting of life may hurt, and you may feel deeply disappointed or even resentful that Wasp Spirit has shown up, but you will soon come to see that Spirit has something wonderful in store for you. You may well come to realize that being stung led to something far better than you had envisioned for yourself. Perhaps behind the scenes, Wasp Spirit was conspiring with Spirit to ensure that you could grow something of value to you. Spirit has a plan, and Wasp Spirit plays a part. Have you ever looked back and then been glad your prayers weren't answered because the path you took led to something far better? Wasp Spirit is a reminder to reflect on those times, for today's sting might hurt, but something better awaits. This is so profound to me. If my divine masculine had come in recklessly, remember my hidden assistance was that he didn't come in recklessly. If he had come in sooner than he did, I would not have produced the music that I produced this year, which I am incredibly proud of and feel that I would have always associated with his arrival rather than with my ability to create it myself. Hello there, Lena. So I can see in my life how something that stung, him saying, hey, I love you and I want to be with you a year ago, and years before that even, really, and then being like, but I can't do it yet, and me being like, chill, was the best thing that happened to me. It was the best thing. And the truth of that hurts because I blamed him a lot and I was really angry with him for doing that to me, right? Meanwhile, he's dealing with his own stuff and what he's doing is for me. Everything he's doing is for me. Which is why he had to shift and start doing things for himself. Which is why he needed the time, right? Let's quickly look at the Knight of Swords card, just so I know the story where this comes from, because I'm learning this tarot of the divine. All these tales are from different parts of the world, and they're interesting. And this is the Knight of Swords. All right, the Knight of Swords. This is a Malaysian legend. Hang Tuah. I'm definitely totally butchering that. I do apologize. The Knight of Swords is a strong and assertive warrior. Hang Tuah, an intelligent soldier, is unafraid of leaping into battle and employing unconventional techniques to win. He is rebellious, loyal, and a fierce champion. Intellect, bravery, confidence, and being action-oriented. So it is really just reinforcing that concept that divine masculines, or that the truth of divine masculine's journey, while it may have hurt, it was exactly what you needed. And then we're going to look at a door that is closing, that needs to be closed or open, and the key to doing that. And what we have for divine feminine is the Tower, okay? This is from the Tarot of the 78 Doors. And this is the door that needs to be closed for divine feminine. And that is this feeling that she's not had stability in her life. So she needs to release. What's funny is this is the release position, like what needs to be released. And the key is how we can rebuild from this. And the release is releasing itself, okay? She holds on to a lot of things that hurt her because she doesn't embrace the truth of that wasp spirit, which is that the things that hurt us are meant to push us to new places. We are meant to let things go. What will help divine feminine is the Ace of Pentacles. And this is such an interesting thing because divine feminine herself holds the key to her own stability, right? This is her terror. That everything that she loves, works for, or whatever, it's not stable. It's going to be washed away, struck by lightning, burned to the ground. She has to understand that her own confidence comes from her ability to generate her own wealth. Now, this does not necessarily just mean material wealth, but the ability to manifest and call in with your powers of manifestation, abundance and prosperity in all its forms, not just as material coins, but your general sense of well-being. So this will help divine feminine energy. All right, let's look at the masculine now. In order to release and rebuild in his sexual energy, divine masculine needs to release the devil energy associated with his sexuality. This is pleasure seeking selfishly. This is toxic connections. This is a lot of sexual energy that is not pleasant. This is fears and anxieties regarding sex, feeling like it's forbidden and distorted. This could be a toxic experience, a sexual trauma that had happened in his past. And it can also be an addiction to sexual energy. He needs to release this devil energy. And what will help him rebuild is Page of Wands. This is burgeoning sexual energy. So this is a return to innocence, similar to divine feminine's call today. Her defensiveness against toxicity is calling her to go into a state of innocence that comes from having learned the lessons and understanding that now you're going to a new place, a new shore with new experiences. And divine masculine, we're seeing the same kind of energy for him, expressed a bit differently. But he needs to become much more youthful in how he expresses his sexual energy and much less jaded in that expression. Wow, masculine, you're in the light finally of the dilettante. So you are not needing to be an expert, and you are totally aware of the danger that you have to dabble in a superficial way with divine feminine instead of going much deeper into the connection. You're very aware of that, and you are working to be able to allow yourself to take a stab at this without being an expert, while at the same time not being so surface level that you're not having anything of substance occur. You are also in the light attributes of the beggar energy, which means you're no longer dependent on others to the exclusion of effort. And I see that as being dependent on the feminine energy for emotional support. Instead, you've confronted empowerment at the level of physical survival, and you've awakened the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem within you. So you have faced your Five of Pentacles energy, and you are in the light traits of that, fully healed. You are receiving this card about traveling in reverse. This can mean that it is not time to travel if you were planning to travel. It can mean that you need to do some traveling in order to return to the feminine energy. It can also mean that you have been in hermit energy and you're leaving that energy and coming out of that isolation. It is definitely being safe and supported in any travel that you need to do, and you kind of have to assess where you fall on that spectrum of how that applies to you. But call on St. Christopher for all issues regarding travel, both physical in the physical world and spiritual travel as well. I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself that I am love and miracles are natural. So you need to continue doing that, creating those moments that help you tap into that feeling of love. There might be something that you do every day that helps you think of divine feminine or be in her presence, that's not spying and trying to find out if she's doing something wrong, but is actually just being kind of present with her. And so it's something that you want to continue doing, creating those mindful moments that remind yourself that that love that you have is miraculous, but also very natural. I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. And this is so important for the both of you, honestly, to do at this time. That letting go of the devil energy and starting with that spark of love in that Page of Wands, which is, instead of having toxic karmic connections, you follow the chemistry, the spark that you have with the feminine energy. So you release this past association and you see her with new eyes. Grieving. You might be grieving right now the loss of something. If you have parted with this Mother of Pentacles energy, or healed wounds where you realize that the mothering energy in your life really did not give and nurture in the way that you really were worthy to receive, you might be experiencing grief over that loss, but it's a transformation. This is the Four of Swords energy, and we transform through that grief. We become stronger, we become new, we gain perspective. We have the ability to express what was not expressible before because we had not experienced a loss such as this. So there might be some need for you to allow that time for grief. Confidence is your key to success in this rebuilding process. And this is always true. Always, always true. You have to tap into that control of the ego, which is not being afraid. That's what gives us confidence. We are getting Dragonfly Spirit in reverse, which came out in the reading yesterday, and your good old Eight of Cups, which you have as what will help you feel confident right now, is expressing to the feminine that you have walked away from past energy and that you are going towards your higher calling, which is the divine feminine. This card is Truth Transcends Illusion. So this is finally revealing to divine feminine what has been hidden, mysterious, secret. Let's look at the book to see this story, or to see the protection message, because this was in the reverse. And yesterday when we got it, it was upright. And that was from the Tell Me Everything spread yesterday. I believe it was what divine feminine said to the masculine, maybe. I can't remember. It was that or the other way around. But all right, the protection message is, did you really think this world of the senses is all there is? From the hidden mystical realms, signs are being sent to you, but perhaps you have perceived separation and convinced yourself that you are on your own. Have you fallen into spiritual amnesia and forgotten your connection to a living, loving, always supportive universe? If so, rub the sleep out of your eyes, for Dragonfly Spirit is here to remind you of all the love and support available to you in every moment. There is an organizing principle underlying the events you have experienced, and Dragonfly Spirit can help you see it and trust that Spirit has your back. Let go of the illusion of chaos and randomness. Love is here, so follow the signs that appear serendipitously. As you pay attention to the magic all around you, you will know you are on the right track. So this walking away, just trust that truth transcends the illusions. These seem like there's nothing wrong with them. These are cups that are intact. Indeed, some of the cards I have some cards that look damaged while others are whole. There's one card that has only damaged cups, and there's a couple that have cups that appear to be completely harmless. But all these cups have things that are poisonous and things that are good for us. And it is our job to trust our intuition and transcend the illusion of what we thought was good that we were leaving behind. And then, Divine Masculine. This is the door that needs to be opened or closed for you. This is the Moon card. These are secrets, things that are hidden in our subconscious. We see a feminine who is pregnant, actually. So there's something that's being gestated that needs to be born, and it's happening here behind the scenes. And the key to this is the Queen of Swords energy. This is a queen who uses her head. She's very discerning. But in this image, she's actually a medium, and she's channeling this energy of this child, actually. So it's almost like this inner child energy. But I am seeing communication needs to happen. You need to communicate with the divine feminine about children, if that is something that is resonating, about your inner child wounds that came from the subconscious. This is a time for you to actually open up and communicate to the feminine energy what you have learned intellectually about what was hidden within you. That will open up. This will allow you to open up and reveal everything that has been hidden, which is, of course, what will help you to face that challenge with the divine feminine of being able to come into union. All right. The closing cards for the both of you. This is your advice for coming into union for sexual energy. This is what needs to be released. This is judgment. And this is what needs to be rebuilt. This is the Five of Pentacles. So there has been a lack of physical connection between the twins, and they need to release the judgment about if there was other energy that occurred during the time that they could not be together when they were on the outside looking in. They have to release harsh criticism or judgment about those experiences from those times. It can also just be about releasing judgment about the self, feeling like you're not good enough, like your body doesn't look good enough, or like you're not going to be good enough, or your performance isn't going to be good enough. But you have to release those fears that you are not good enough, or that what happened is bad, or whatever, and start to rebuild this sense of worthiness in terms of your sexuality. You're both in the light attributes of the engineer, which means you are not relying on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. And that's interesting because both the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords came out in reverse for the feminine. So it was this acknowledgement that both of the aspects of self are no longer being mechanistic without regard for consequences. This is the ability to give creative energy a practical expression and a talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. So right now the dilemma is, I love you, you love me. You're free to be with me, I'm free to be with you. And we're not together. Why? There are some little minor obstacles, right? Five of Wands kind of energy that need to be unblocked. And you both right now have a talent for designing resolutions to these common problems that you've had together. So you're actually going to be able to use the discernment from both sides of self to figure out how to come into this alignment, follow the signs you need to get where you need to go. St. Anthony is here as an emphasis because you found it. You found your way to one another. It is through peaceful acceptance, right? It is through atonement. It is through salvation. It is exactly how you find God. It's the same. You have found that journey to God is that journey to that other person, and you're blessed and protected in that journey. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. Inside of one another is one another. When you focus on that inner light inside of self, you look through the lens of love. Everything changes. You have found your life purpose, which is to grow together in this mission of uplifting and channeling. You're channeling energy, you're uplifting humanity. You're tapping into the masculine and the feminine. You are growing and you are expanding. As above, so below. So whatever is happening externally, it's happening within you as well. And you've learned that that's actually your life purpose, to have that experience. The answers you need are coming. There's the twins. So the answers you need about why this journey took this long and what was happening and what was going on, that's all about to be revealed to you with many surprises, because you all are so arrogant. Y'all think you know what was going down, and you don't. But you're about to get all the answers that you need. This was the other card that came out yesterday, upright, and today it's here in its reverse for the union. And this is trust in the magic, and it's coming out with the Page of Wands, which we already got. So trust in the magic the way that a little child does, right? And we're getting the protection message, which we got the oracle message yesterday, but now we're getting the protection message of trust in the magic. I can't believe we got that. That is just nutty. Oh my Lanta. If you didn't see that reading, it's on Instagram, the Tuned In Tarot Instagram account. I did a Tell Me Everything spread, and these two cards came up yesterday for the masculine and feminine. The protection message is, are you being distracted by the illusion of a chaotic universe? Deep in your heart, you know the world is full of magic, and White Raven has appeared to remind you that the ways of the world can cause spiritual amnesia. Stay awake and alert, for Spirit wants you to enjoy the miracles all around you. Remember, the evidence of a divine order can be seen everywhere. Ask for a sign, and it shall be yours. Synchronicities like this one happen all the time. So if you're in a time of challenge and feeling cynical, all you need to do is ask for a reminder. White Raven will appear to reassure you that all of this is leading to something far better, for magic is in the wind. All right, so trust in the magic, the two of you. And then let's look at the story from the Page of Wands here, which is the Republic of the Congo. It's a Nyangan mythology about Window. The Page of Wands represents a childlike optimism and carefree rebellion. For Window, every situation is made fun by a swish of his magical fly swatter. He makes many enemies, but just as many friends who help him in his journey. Playfulness, charisma, discovery, a rogue enthusiasm. So have enthusiasm for the magic of this relationship. Remember that all of the magic you've experienced has been because you are in separation. If you were together and you communicated back and forth, it wouldn't be that impressive because you're together. The fact that you've been able to communicate through telepathy, through messages, through synchronicities, through tuning into a higher consciousness is what makes this whole thing magical, right? And finally, this is the doors that need to be closed and the key to closing, or opened or closed, and the key to open or closing it. We have death. And we had death for the divine masculine in reverse, and facing that transformative energy. Or was it divine feminine that we had death? Oh, divine feminine, we had death in reverse. So the end of separation. And then for masculine, we had him in grief. That was what it is. We had his grieving card. So there has been endings in order to have new beginnings. Those endings require a certain amount of solemnity, reverence. You know, we wear black after we say goodbye to a loved one. First of all, black is a protective color, so it protects us from going deep, deep into our depression from that loss. And it's also a sign of respect to honor the dead, that we don't celebrate and have a lot of color in our life, to honor that there has been this ending. So there is this need to experience the fullness of grief for the ego that has died, that had expectations of what life should have been like, for the people that have been hurt in the process that we have gone through in order to release. That door out of this sadness and grief comes from sitting with it and experiencing it. The key to passing from this grief and from this ending into the new beginning is the 9 of Wands, which is healing. And in the 9 of Wands, we have a figure that's carrying their door. They've built the door, we're assuming, and they're carrying it to a place that maybe didn't have one. Maybe it wasn't safe. It didn't have a door to keep them safe from things coming outside. Maybe there was a door that wouldn't allow them to pass outside of it. Maybe he had to take the door off its hinges to get out of that situation. But what the key to actually being able to pass from this place where things have ended, from the separation into that light on the other side of these gates, is to heal, is to allow that healing to take place, which you have both been doing, which indicates to me that you are both going to be coming into union. Okay, I guess I will pull some cards for minor things that we can do today. I'm just going to use one deck, though, because I feel like my readings are so long sometimes. And I have other stuff I have to do today. A lot of other stuff, because my puppy is coming somehow. I don't know. Although I did just have to pay my internet. How is internet $84? How did that happen? Because that's insane. It used to be 40. Like, what is happening? All right. Let's see. What can we do today that will help us release and rebuild? Just little minor things. I lied. I'm going to use 2 decks. Otherwise, it's not fair. Please like, subscribe, share, click all the links. You can click the description box below to go to my website, pearlsprayers.com. You can also see these cards over here. You don't want those. Well, you can also see the music that I've released, and there'll be more music coming out soon. There's services there you can book for personal readings. You can fill out a contact form under the booking menu. It's like a sub menu. If you want to send me a question, or if you need to ask for an accommodation, a financial accommodation, don't hesitate to jump into my Gmail or fill out the contact form, and I shall respond within, I usually give myself like 72 hours. Okay. Minor things, little minor things you can do today to help you. Divine Masculine, 6 of Swords in reverse, and the Knight of Cups in reverse. So don't shy away. Don't move away from your desire to express yourself, to a desire to express love. There's a tendency here for you to resist moving into the space where you can fully express and fully receive this love. And you need to learn the lessons that I'm giving you here, and actually take those steps to move towards your being able to communicate and express love to the feminine energy. This is also about resisting the behavior that it would be wishy-washy. So this is about kind of not being able to move on from how you express, like, which has been in this wishy-washy way, and needing to address that and find a different path, find a different route to be able to express your love for divine feminine. Hopefully one that's much more direct. Divine feminine, here's what you need to do. You got the opposite. This is nuts. You got the 6 of Cups, and then you got the Knight of Swords. And he got the 6 of Swords and the Knight of Cups. That's such a fucking crazy thing. It's the fucking mirror. Oh my god. Divine feminine. Divine feminine, you have today. You have to believe in the reunion. You have to believe in the reunion. Believe that divine masculine is coming at the pace that is best for the both of you to directly communicate with you. And you also have to release the past, the beliefs that you have about his ability to communicate. Everything you believed, everything you thought was true, I'm telling you right now, it's not. It's not true. What you thought was true about divine masculine, about what he can do and what he's capable of doing, it is not true. So you have to release that tower. You have to release everything that happened in the past that would make it difficult for him to communicate. Like if you thought, oh, he can't contact me on his phone because of this, or he couldn't call me because of this, or he couldn't come over to my house because of this, or he couldn't do this because of that, or he can't do that because of the other thing. Everything that you thought is now not true. It has been turned on its head, right? This is partially why divine masculine is uncertain about how to make a move. He's not quite certain about how to make a move because everything that used to be true is no longer true. So if you're not thinking, well, divine masculine can't possibly call me today, he can't come over today, he can't. If you're not thinking those things, then that means the opposite of them can finally be true. So release the things that used to be true and embrace that there is going to be a swift revelation that will come in today once the divine masculine can release this wishy-washy behavior and just commit. The things that will challenge you today: 5 of Cups in reverse and the 2 of Pentacles. So choosing optimism, choosing to think positively about the situation will be challenging because you're still going to be balancing the energy back and forth the way you have been, and you're trying to figure out how to do that in a new way that's much more direct. So there is going to be some challenge about how you're juggling your communication with each other, your responsibilities that you have, etc. And you need to be optimistic. You need to focus on the bright side of things, the gratitude. Last night, I got a piece of information that I did not know about my divine masculine that indicated that there was a readiness there that I did not know was actually possible. And I felt gratitude, so much gratitude. I felt, that's almost all I felt. Like, thank you for that. Thank you for that information. Thank you for the relief that brings. Thank you for helping me feel confident that what I thought you wanted for me is clearly what you do want for me. So be in a state of gratitude. Find a way to be in gratitude because that is what brings transformation in your life. It is the key to transformation. That Ace of Pentacles, that's abundance, that's wealth, that's prosperity, gratitude, right? Gratitude for all of that, all that you have, your power to create it, the fact that you are your own key to your abundance and prosperity in love and in the material. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you tomorrow on Instagram with Grace Strega. I will likely do another Tell Me Everything reading on Sunday if I'm feeling it. And Monday, we will start the week off with the check-in to the masculine and feminine sides of self and just get the how is the energy, and then we'll go back into the obstacles removed and release and rebuild spreads. You can find me 6 out of 7 days on TikTok doing little mini readings over there and answering questions and comments. You can also ask me questions over in the Q&A. I do answer those publicly though, so if you don't want me to answer it publicly, make sure you privately message me somehow. All right, thank you so much. I shall see you tomorrow. Have a great day today, everybody.